Good afternoon. My name is Aahana Ganguly, and I'm a chemistry and climate science professor in Azim Premji University in India. In this special issue, I've contributed a chapter titled A People's Pedagogy for Climate Action in the Indian Sundarbans, in the section on responding to the climate crisis. So the pedagogy project that I described in my chapter basically started about 4 years ago in the aftermath of a devastating cyclone in the Indian Sundarbans. So the Sundarbans, for those of you who are not familiar with the region, basically has about 5 million inhabitants who are scattered across these low-lying island villages. And these low-lying island villages are protected by thousands of kilometers of embankments that keep out the surrounding seawater. So it is safe to assume that these inhabitants are extremely vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. The pedagogy project that I described in my chapter basically aimed to create youth climate action groups in collaboration with an agricultural workers union called the Paschim Bangal Khet Madur Samiti. And these youth climate action groups were basically young people who we trained to act as community educators, as well as join a struggle to advocate and galvanize support for a more just and sustainable development of this extremely ecologically vulnerable region. One of the things that I would like to highlight about what I've described in this chapter that is important when we consider how to respond to the climate crisis in the future is that climate change may be a global phenomenon, but vulnerability is a very local and non-homogeneous experience. And so any effective pedagogy of climate change must merge global expert knowledge with local perception of risk and indigenous knowledge. And that is what we have effectively managed to do by using student-led independent research and inquiry as a foundation for our discussions and analysis. The second thing that we have managed to effectively do is never privilege the ecological concerns over the socioeconomic concerns of the youth that we're working with, and concerns over things such as livelihood, food, energy, transportation have always been front and center in our discussions. It has helped that our partner is a grassroots organization with deep roots in the region, with a lot of experience in kind of making people understand class realities and the nature of systemic disenfranchisement. The last thing that I would like to say before I end is that as a university educator, from the point of view of my university classroom, when I first ventured out into the field as a community educator, my assumption was that if we manage to communicate science and socio-scientific issues better to the community, they will galvanize and catalyze action by themselves. But what I realized in the grassroots reality of the Sundarbans is that action and movement away from the business as usual is perhaps not easy, but it is extremely important that we move away from the business as usual paradigm rapidly and urgently and as fast as we can. Thank you.